or reorganizations. Okay, so you take the bankruptcy, get rid of that statement. Instead, we do corporate reorganizations.
Yes, Ricky.
When I work with Whirlpool, an American corporation, they would do sales where the money didn't come in. And I was the collections manager, the chief of collections, and I said, sorry, you can't report that as a sale.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so angry with me about that. They called it creative accounting.
It is.
Right.
It's creative accounting, the U.S. style, and then if all else fails, you file bankruptcy. You don't pay debt. And it's the low man on the totem pole that loses.
You file for business reorganization. It's business reorganization.
When I had to shut down one of my corporations years ago, it was very devastating to me. I don't ever accept failure. But the first things the attorneys wanted me to do was to file bankruptcy, and I refused to. I paid back and negotiated every debt off my books. And I am proud of doing that, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Other companies like myself, because it was an economic downturn for that type of business, other companies like myself, they all file bankruptcy, or they drastically, horrifically went under. I chose to close down in such a way that each person that worked for me found a job. I made sure they had a job. And I didn't file bankruptcy. I took the money that I would have paid the attorney and the courts, and I paid off my debts a little at a time. It took me a few years, but a few years later, I had a clean slate. There's ways to do it. There's ways to negotiate. I had to go to court a few times.
Cram down.
I know you're going to sit here and go, oh, Kim, play the violin. But
cram down.
I'm just saying that when you file bankruptcy, the ripple effect.
This is so crucial. I totally agree with Kim on this. This is so crucial. That is what integrity is about. You cannot say that this is a personal matter, that is an official matter. Sorry. Integrity means one person, the same face to everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid America has got to learn that lesson. They learned it up till Tricky Dick came along. It was there.
Yeah.
And the moment Richard Nixon came, America lost its morality.
Right, Rakesh, go look at the law curriculum at all the law schools in the United States. We'll pick on Harvard, Yale, and Stanford Law School. Go look at the law school curriculum. Have you seen integrity in any of the law school classes? No. Okay. Law is what it is. It's rules, how you apply it, and how you kind of benefit your client.
That is why, to be blunt, that is why you have so many debts.
That's right.
Oh, we do?
That is why you have so many debts. And it will,
right
as
now,
long as you've got to be true to yourself. No matter whether there's law is a 3-letter or a 4-letter word, it doesn't matter. You've got to be true to yourself.
I hate to say this, but I cannot take another look at people's posts about it's only 70,000 people. It's only 3%. We could have had a situation where we had maybe less than that, right? A lot less than that. I look at Australia, 70 people died. They cry over 70 people. Yesterday, when I spoke with some doctors in India, they were sad because 2 doctors died. In America, it's like, casualties of war, casualties of money, casualties of economics. And I'm sorry, a life shouldn't be taken a look at that way. I don't care what that life was. A life should not be taken that way. We should not have had this amount of lives. This is our line. Our line went like this compared to the rest of the world.
Okay.
19 people died. Only 19 people died in New Zealand, and Jacinda Ardern was apologizing for that.
Okay, well, the thing is, here's the discussion in the United States, since you guys in India don't understand. We'll get to you in a minute. We have to, our politicians, this is true, have to balance the amount of deaths against
money.
Everybody has to do that.
Well, okay. And our politicians,
Abhijeet, great to see you, Abhijeet.
So the hospitals are not getting resources because they have to negotiate resources from state to state. So each state has to negotiate what they need. That should never happen in a pandemic crisis. Somebody just needs to write out a list of what they need, and it's sent. If somebody has more over here, we share. We're not like that. It's all about how much money you have. And good evening, Dr. Abhijeet.
Yeah.
Good evening. How are you all?
Good evening. And welcome. I'm going to bow out of my soapbox.
Yeah,
How the future of politics is going to happen after this?
Oh, politics will be great. It's going to be a great election. It's going to be the best election ever.
Vote and how they are going to choose their politicians, and what kind of government strategy they are going to focus into their manifesto.
It will be a circus here in the United States. I'm sure you're going to hear about it in India because it's going to be a great election. I know, but it's going to be big time this coming up this year. You're going to hear a great election. I've been trying to teach the Americans this. They haven't got it yet. I mean, the thing is, they don't even know what this is. You're really going to have to work on these people. So I go like this, and they're going like, what's that again?
And still going 2 hours to have dinner with their friends, and there's no common sense. Nobody's wearing a mask. I mean, now I'm thankful that the grocery store up the street. Again, I live out in the country, so it's a small grocery store to me. It's not a big grocery store like Nick is used to going to. So it's very contained. And they have been cleaning the grocery carts every day for a month now. Actually, before a month, they've been out there cleaning the grocery carts. You pick up one person into the store at a time. They wait a few minutes, another person in. So you feel somewhat safe, but I still think it's all false illusion. I go in looking like Darth Vader, but with my mask, like Nick does, mask and everything. But I still don't think that that's a good reentry process that we're going to have to think about. And in business, we're going to, and I'm glad that we've got all of these people here to talk about how do we enter a business. And there are things we have to think about, like our agriculture, right? We have to think about. I'm glad you were on this.
Wait, she mentioned agriculture. Let me tell you what they're doing here. Okay, because the restaurants are closed and we have too much milk and food, they're dumping the milk down the sewer here in the United States. Like, no kidding. Because
why are they exporting?
You got okay, because they can't export milk.
You should.
You can free.
I think I have a question for you, Millie.
I'm not kidding. We're dumping our food down.
Nick, if you can supply that milk to the Indian community, they know how to use the milk. Because we can do
recycle it in gardens.
I am not. Listen. I'm not kidding. See, here's what happens. The grocery stores are open, but the restaurants are closed. The restaurants have milk, and they buy a lot of our produce and food. The farmers can't sell it to the restaurants anymore. So because they can't sell it, they're dumping the milk down the drain. Like, no kidding. And they're taking the food and they're just burying it under the ground and destroying it. I'm not kidding. Well, welcome to America.
We closed all of our food manufacturers, so I was glad to see that top on the list is agriculture and India's workout plan. Because I think you have to think about the food. You have to think about physical sustainability before you think about financial sustainability, because I think then it circles, right? You recycle your money that way. That's
you got to. All you have to do is Google it, and you'll see them dumping the milk into the sewer. They're throwing the milk in the sewer. They're throwing the food away. They're getting rid of it because the restaurants are closed. They can't sell it.
The main reason they have the lockdown in India. The main reason they have the lockdown in India is to protect the farm, to protect the farmers, because they know they don't have that much of medical facilities available to them.
Right.
To protect them, they have these lockdowns. There's a lot of pain for the daily wage earners, but they still feel that that's a better deal than exposing farmers who haven't a hope in hell of getting medical services.
Right.
You see, I'm a person who dislikes Mr. Modi, but I admire his approach on this particular issue. I'm a person who dislikes Mr. Modi.
Yeah. But now I think
but you're in Hong Kong, so what does he care?
He doesn't care. I'm not even an Indian citizen, so he doesn't care about me.
But
I'm just saying, anybody who looks at his strategy and I don't know whether it's his decision or Mr. Harshvardhan, the minister's decision, but at least he gave him the freedom to do what is right.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to take, give the devil its due.
Mhm.
Well, I think there's very little thought to
that it is getting opened, Rakesh, then it is completely flipped. Right now, we still have threat into highly populated cities. However, the areas which are less populated they are coming clean. I think more than 4 or 5 states who today has reported that they don't have any cases, so they can completely come out of the lockdown. But still, the transportation between these states and other part of countries would not continue, would not commence. Cities like Delhi and Mumbai and still in even the Noida and other areas will still remain under lockdown. So what you thought that the strategy was to prevent farmers from that, when we see it has completely gone flipped what you said.
To protect the farmers. To protect, not prevent, protect the farmers. It is to protect the farmers so that the city, because the virus came into India from the airports, okay? And the airports are in Mumbai, Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, Calcutta. So it came from the urban areas, and that's how it's come. So naturally, you would lock down the urban areas because, that's the most sensible thing to do. And glad to say the Indian government did it. I'm so pleased with their having done that.
Completely right. Bang on the target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good idea to shut down the airports, shut down people from coming in. Oh, Mohammed, how are you doing?
Hey, Mohammed. Namaste. Salam.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Namaskar.
Yeah, it's going to take a long time for the Americans to get this. Okay, I've already beta tested this the other day. Namdase, they were looking for
IBM has made this Namaskar globalized, actually.
Yes.
This kit goes to IBM first.
Yeah, but this is a very safe greeting as opposed to the Americans.
Yes.
This is also our, we used to pray. We used to pray in school, but we took it out of school. So we were taught this many, many years ago, but we took it away and replaced it with handshaking and hugging and, all of those touchy-feely things. We got to get away from that. And, like the doctors are sharing with us, we got to get into better practices before we re-enter. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today is re-entering into the workplace. What are some of the processes and procedures that we are focusing on in India now? Because you guys are kind of flatlined or got things controlled. What are some of the things that you're looking at?
At this stage of time, I think more than 16 different sectors and more than 20 districts and more than 5 states, largely governed states, they have came clean out of the lockdown. So they do not have cases reported. They are not having suspected cases, but still they will remain cordon off. So the large area which they will be getting, only threat now it is remaining there is to do a combing operation of testing everyone in complete percentage. The entire population need to be tested. Otherwise, the sentiment which we primarily look is definitely there is going to be some hit on the economy, and that hit would be quite huge in percentage if you look at the numbers. But if we would allow certain units and certain offices and certain production plants to operate, their product will, however, remain inside the premises only, then we would be able to minimize the loss. That is one idea behind opening a couple of specific sectors with narrow guidelines of practicing social distancing and physical distancing. And the second is few of the people who will come back on the job. Maybe they will have to stay in their premises only, their factory only, or maybe they will have to stay in their offices. But if they will come back on the job, there is a significant mental or psychological impact, gives them a booster or gives them a mental motivation to the other people. So these are primarily 2 things which we have started from today, and I think it is going very well. However, densely populated areas like Delhi, who had lots of hotspots, is still locked, not open, and 4 states which I named has got completely open. So over to you.
Yeah.
Can I add up something?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, India is doing wonderful job right now. All the politicians, especially and talk about the Narendra Modi ji, is doing a wonderful job. He's a very daring and very honest leader, and his leadership is giving a result as well. And one of the best chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Yogi, is doing a wonderful job. So whatever they fight each other with the rivals, rival means other political parties. But right now, every political party is on the same platform. The aim is only to how to save the people, how to save the humanity right now. So I salute and praise to all of them, the leaders. They are the true leaders as such.
Yeah.
And the most important thing that Narendra Modi came forward and extended their hands to distribute the essential medicine to the global community. And the most important thing, because I'm into pharmaceutical industry, so I know very well. So whatever the marginalized price out here for the API and the formulation, they try to provide the global community on the same rate, the way they are providing here in India. There was no profit margin involved on that. So this is a very good thing. This shows that the India and Indian political leaders are very much concerned about the global community as such.
Yeah, and there's something interesting that this
four states which are open is Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Goa, and Sikkim.
Goa.
And Sikkim.
This just in, Americans were found hiding from the coronavirus in Indian caves. From the New York Post. Can you believe that? They said what they were doing is that there were 6 people busted in India that were Americans, broke tourists. They were hiding out in the Indian caves from the coronavirus. Anyway, they were found at that. And then this just in from the International Monetary Fund said India's growth rate could top 7% growth rate in 2021 if they keep the coronavirus outbreak under control. So that's good news for ANKIT. 7% growth rate in India because
7% is good.
Yeah, because you guys did it right and you don't have any coronavirus. Now we can help you reverse that trend if you'd like. All you have to do is open your borders. We'll send you some Americans, and it'll go back to Peter, But apparently that's not happening over here. So yeah, so the thing is, it looks like having it under control is actually very helpful for the economy over there, and they're predicting a huge growth rate. But when I got together with ANKIT a long time ago, I was going, I said, ANKIT, the great thing about India, you guys have 1 billion people and you're nice enough to speak English. Because over in China, they have 1 billion people, but they speak Mandarin and Cantonese. I can't understand them, But in India, at least they speak English. I was going, wow, that's actually pretty good. So,
at least we are not producing coronavirus.
Oh, yeah, and you guys produce coronavirus. By the way, it looks like they're not going to get away from that rap. In other words, like, hey, you guys are the producers of coronavirus, which affects the world. But I think it could have been produced anywhere. I mean, it really could. And I think also that we really have to look at future pandemics. I mean, this is the first one, but how easy is this to have coronavirus 2020 or 2025 or some sort of penicillin resistant sort of flu or something like that. In other words, this isn't the only type of potential pandemic that's out there over the next.
You mean to say that they can launch a Pro or the bigger model of the coronavirus like iPhone Plus? So coronavirus Plus can come in after next 2 years.
Yeah. But yeah,
maybe.
It could be any kind of virus. It could be any kind of virus. It doesn't have to be in the corona class of viruses.
Exactly.
And it could be any class, and it could come anywhere.
Yeah, because
this is something which, as a population, as civilization has allowed the existence of less than optimal genes in our species population.
Right.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
But
I'm alive because of civilization. You know, I'm diabetic. I've got the wrong genes. You know? If we were living in a jungle, I'd be dead.
Yeah, but look at Ebola.
China would not be able to get away with this. So either way, if we zero down speculations, so only two things could have happened. Either they were doing an experiment and it came out of it because they were doing something else and it went out of hand. One situation, this could be there. And second, how the polio virus came and other virus with SRSS, the entire family which we had before in our history. So either of these situations, China is definitely going to get a punishment. Would not be a right word. War also would not be a right word. But financial sanction on trade and on diplomacy policy is certainly going to happen. And in that scenario, these kind of sanctions, they agree or they do not agree is the second speculations. If they do not agree, then it is very difficult for them to survive and coagulate and do a international cross-border trade for China, I'm talking.
Yeah, and then India will become the world's biggest economy.
The Spanish flu started actually in America, in Kansas, and it killed 50 million people.
That's true. It was monitored.
Okay, and I don't think $1 was paid in compensation to anybody.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think I think here's the real problem is that this is the first of potential a lot of different types of viruses out there that get out of control. Remember, we had Ebola, we had SARS, we had MERS, and fortunately they were out in control. But look, in the next 10 years, Bill Gates even went in and said that this was our biggest problem. And you know what happens now on the internet? They're blaming Bill Gates for creating the coronavirus. I am not kidding. He's getting a lot of hate mail. Bill Gates, you're the ones who really created it because you talked about it 5 years ago.
First off, I think we need to take responsibility in ourselves first and get through it. And if you were aware of the situation and you did not properly or were not properly transparent about the situation back in January and February, then I think you need to be held accountable.
You're also not trained.
Will be held accountable, and I agree with the fact that I think that this was a laboratory experiment that got out of control. It was, they claimed that the disease was found in the Wuhan market. We are aware. It has been admitted many times. And in my own research back in before 1964, the first coronavirus was found in the respiratory systems of chickens. So the coronavirus has been around for a very, very long time. This is not the first time we've ever seen it. And it was by a woman that wasn't taken very serious. But it has been around a very long time, and I think that I think accountability will be made. I don't think it was the people of China. I think it was probably the leaders who were wrong in trying to cover it up. But they had their reasons, just like our leader had their reasons for delaying the shutdown. So I think that there's a lot of accountability, but we have to survive as humans first. Right.
Well, India, it looks like India will survive, and they're going to come out with a 7% increase in GDP. But the real question is, the United States going to have a negative GDP this year? I mean, this is a real issue here, and they're already balancing, well, how many people's lives can we lose to balance out our economy? Because we
also have a negative quality of life.
So there's some very serious issues that we're facing over here, and the other problem is training. Nobody here, I don't remember, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Russia puts all those missiles in Cuba, I was trained as a young child how to avoid it. You know what they trained us to do? Get underneath the desk and hold your hands like this. So we actually had Cuban Missile Crisis training. So how we could survive a nuclear war, I'm not kidding, is to go underneath the desk, which we all know isn't going to work, but that's what we did. Now, on the pandemic, we received no training whatsoever. In other words, how to wear masks, how to wear gloves, how to socially distance, none at all. And our education system here is purportedly the top in the world, but frankly, here's the reality of our education system. It is 18th, 19th century at best in the United States. Seriously, we do not study medicine here. And you could teach elementary kids about basic medicine. We don't study that. We do not study financial planning. We could train our kids this. There's a lot of practical things that we could train people here in the United States, but they don't even do it. Instead, we teach the same things that were taught in the 18th century: English, math, reading, writing. I mean, we're really
our laws are that old too, Nick.
And, the laws are not old. So here's what I like about the pandemic. I have to like some things. Number one, pollution is down. Number two, that people can go access the internet, which has more practical education than our school systems. And a lot of the people in the United States have never used Zoom. They haven't used formats like what we're using, StreamYard. And so this is their first time really using this type of system. And I've seen people all over this country use it. And there's more information, if you can find the better information, available on the internet than there is in our bloody school systems. If you want to learn about pandemic, you can go to the internet and you can go find a lot about.
What I want to do though is I want to talk about some business strategies, because on Wednesday we're going to have some people come back and we're going to talk about some re-entry businesses that can get started. Where'd Nick go? Businesses that can get started. I hate it when he beams in and out like that. So,
I'm going to take a break. I'll be back.
Okay. All right. So anyway, but what I'd like to do is start taking a look at some of those ways that we can re-engage in business, right? Rebuild the businesses that can rebuild. How do we help those that are struggling? And how do we re-enter into the economics? And again, that's not the most important thing. The first thing we need to do is think about our